witness
Read it.
before laying the basis. Before laying the basis to read the statement of the witness for the purpose of cross-examining the witness.
I don't understand. You say you want to read Lieutenant Colonel's
the statement that was disclosed to us.
Yeah.
But I would like to lay the basis for that plea.
You want to?
To lay the basis for the statement that I'm intending to read it for record.
Whatever you want to do it. Yeah, but you are not through, ne?
Yes, as it please the court.
Yeah, so continue with your cross-examination.
I don't mind.
Wait. Yes. Continue with your cross-examination. Having regard to the fact that during your examination it transpired that there was a statement which was made by the Lieutenant Colonel which was not disclosed to counsel before you commenced your cross-examination.
As it please the court.
Right, sir.
Thank you. Say, I earlier on asked you and indicated that on the basis of the number of pointing out that you have made, I put it to you that it looks to me like you were at your fledgling stages of your experience with regard to taking of pointing out, and you said you did not agree with me, and further on I said to you, did you then regard yourself as a person that was experienced in taking pointing out? I did not get your answer clear there. What was your answer?
Yes, I am.
Your experience?
Yes.
Thank you.
Shiva ke ngathi experience sona nginaso ke ukuthatha ama pointing noma ukwenza ama pointing outs.
Now, somebody who's just said his experience in taking pointing out, would you agree with me that a pointing out is either an admission or a confession by conduct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ngizovuma ke ukuthi uma umuntu ekhomba ke lokho kusho ukuthi ke umuntu ngohlobo kwenzakala ukuthi ukuvuma ke lokho.
So in other words, you understood at the very onset when you were requested by Mr. Gininda that you will be dealing with something akin to a confession.
Yes, my lord.
Thank you.
Uma engicela ke ukubheka Gininda bese ngazike lokho noma ngifikela ke ukuthi manje ngizosebenza ke ngento la engathi khona ke umuntu ovumayo.
Now, as an experienced member of the South African Police Services who understands that a pointing out is an admission by conduct and or a confession by conduct, I take it you knew what is required when somebody says, I want to come and make a confession.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Thank you.
Yebo ke uma ke nanje ngomuntu ke onesipiliyoni ke uma umuntu ethi ke ngifuna ke ukuvuma ke ngiyazi ukuthi yini ekufanele ngiyenze.
Would you also agree with me that you were there when Mr. Accused number one, Mr. Spear, appeared before you? You were no longer wearing a hat as a member of the South African Police Services, but by then you were regarded as a peace officer, not so?
Yes, my lord.
Ngizovuma ke ukuthi nangale nkathi ngikanye nayo uMr. Sibiya ukuthi ngangisengagqokile-ke manje isigqoko-ke noma ikepusi ukuthi ngiyiphoyisa kodwa lokhu ababiza ngokuthi-ke i-peace officer.
In other words, you no longer regarded yourself as a police, but somebody who is at a level or equivalent to a magistrate. Not so?
Yes, my lord.
Nokuthi-ke manje ngangazithathi-ke ukuthi sengiyiphoyisa kodwa umuntu osungathi umoya mlinganisa-ke umlinganise nemantshi.
Thank you. Now, there is Mr. Sibiya. Let us fast forward it to the point where you're meeting him. By the way, when did you meet him again for the first time, that encounter? Can you take this court through that encounter?
I met him at Alberton SAPS, my lord.
Ngahlangana naye-ke e-police station yase-Alberton.
What were the circumstances under which you met him?
There was an argument about handing over of Mr. Sibiya to me because the member had a concern that if he hands him over to me, he must sign for him on the OP.
Kwakunokuxoxisana-ke lana mayelake nokuthi andluliselwe kimina ilunga leli-ke noma imember lena-ke yayithi uma izomdlulisela kumina kuzofanele kube yiyona esayinda i-OB.
So we had to go back to the charge office for me to sign for him. So he was then not handed over to me by anyone. I received him.
Kwasekufanele sibuyeleke manje e-charge office ngiyosayinda khona-ke okusho ukuthi-ke akekho umuntu omdlulise kumina noma omnikeze kumina imina-ke engamamukela.
Thank you. Then you took him to a particular office, I would assume, where the interview then started.
Yes, my lord.
Ngase ngihamba naye-ke kwi-office elithize la-ke i-interview iyaqala khona.
According to the pro forma here, that would have been office number 31 there at Alberton Police Station.
Yes, my lord.
Leyo office-ke kwaku-office 31 khona lapho e-Alberton.
Thank you. Now, we know from what we have just said that in that office is now yourself, most probably the accused, number one, Mr. Sibiya, and who else was in that office?
No one else, my lord.
Kwakuyithina sobabili kulelo office akekho omunye owayekhona.
Thank you. May you explain to this court what was the sitting arrangement in that office?
I was sitting next to Mr. Sibiya because the table that I was allocated to was a small table. So
Yeah.
I was sitting on his right, he was on my left.
Ngangihlezi eduze kwakhe umnumzana uSibiyake kulelo office ngoba itafula esalinikezwe lincane ngangihlezi ku-right wakhe yena ehlezi ku-left wami.
Thank you. Then you can take this court through what then transpired. You seated next to each other in that office number 31. What then transpires?
And then I then went through the notes on the pointing out, and I informed him of the reasons why I was there.
Ngase-ke ngisebenzisa-ke ama-notes lana ayo-ke i-pointing out mazisa-ke nesizathu sokuthi ngibe lapho.
And I went through the pro forma stage by stage as I had already given evidence.
Ngase-ke iform lena-ke nanjengoba bese ngishilo-ke ngaphambilini ukuthi ngiyiqaleke la iqala khona ngihambe nayo.
Thank you, sir. That's a bit murky. In other words, it's a bit misty. There's no clear indication what you exactly did, because you just say I went through with him the notes on the pointing out, and then I told him the reason why I was there, and then I read him here. Take it step by step. That is what I want to know. You get into the office, you sit on your chairs, he's sitting next to you, there's a table in front of you, then what happens?
The pointing out pro forma then happened. I went through the pointing out pro forma.
Mase sihlezi phansi-ke ila engiqale khona-ke manje ukuthi kusebenza ngayo-ke iform lena-ke ye-pointing out.
Thank you. Where did you get this form from, or the document from, this pointing out pro forma form from?
I came with it.
lena ke akukho la ngithole ngeza nayo mina ke le form.
Thank you. You're sitting down, he's sitting next to you, you have got this pro forma document on your hand, and then you start to go through it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Lokho ke ngisho ukuthi sahlala phansi ngase ke ngiqala ke ngayo le form le.
Thank you. You did not even ask him who his name was.
My Lord, the pro forma even mentions who the name of the person is.
No, the question.
So it means for me to have known the name of the person is by me asking him.
No,
Lana
sir.
ke lana
Oh,
le
I'm
form
sorry,
lena
I'm sorry, I'm
igama
sorry.
lalo muntu libhaliwe ke kusho ukuthi uma libhaliwe la imina engambuza.
No, sir. I've just asked you what you did. You said you sat on the table with accused number 1. Then what you do next time, you start to read the pro forma to him. That's what you said. Now the question is, you did not even ask him who his name was. Not so, because you start by reading the pro forma.
When you read the pro forma, you ask the name, he will give you the name and you write the name, my Lord.
Uma ke usuqala ke ngayo iform ila ubuza khona igama uzokunikeza igama ubusubhala phansi.
Where is it written in the pro forma where you asked who his name was?
My Lord, can I read the pro forma again?
Yes.
I'm cross-examining you. You need to follow me because I'm giving you the lead. Do you understand? Do you understand?
I do not understand, hence I requested to read the pro forma because the question is, where is it written your name is?
Now, if there is something that you don't understand from what I'm asking you, there is nothing that is stopping you from saying to me, Mr. Mnisi, can you please repeat yourself or clarify your question? Do you understand?
My understanding, my Lord, is that answers that I give to the court.
Ngokwami ke ukwazi ukuthi impendulo enginikeza
If-
ngazo
if my
impendulo enginikeza ngazo
understanding-
enkantolo sorry.
Okay. If my understanding is wrong, I apologize.
Uma kuwukuthi ke lokhu ke mina ngendlela engazi ngayo kurongo ngalokho ke ngiyaxolisa.
Thank you. Now the question is, in the pro forma, where is it written where you asked him his name? Just pinpoint that. It's not a difficult thing. You don't need to read the pro forma again. Just pinpoint that.
Name, Muzika ukhulelwa Sithemba Sibiya.
Thank you.
Lana ke kubhaliwe igama kwase kubhalwa ke muzika ukhulelwa Sithemba Sibiya.
Thank you. So what you're saying is, before you went through this pro forma, you started by asking him his name, and he said to you, Muzika ukhulelwa Sithemba Sibiya. Is that the first thing that you did when you went through this pro forma with him?
That is where the pro forma starts with the interview.
Ila khona ke la kunegama khona ke iform lena iqala khona ke ngayo inhlolo khona.
Thank you, sir. Then from there, what transpired? He's telling you what his name is. Then from there, what is transpiring?
I asked his place of residence
Yes.
or birth,
Yes.
and he said Nongoma in KZN.
Ngase ngimbuza ke la hlala khona noma ke indawo yakhe yokazalwa kuyona wasethi ke konongoma eKZN.
On sex, I asked him, and he said he's a male.
Ukuthi ke umuntu wesilisa umuntu wesifazane waseke esho ukuthi umuntu wesilisa.
The physical address where he stays, he said he doesn't have a physical address in that area. They're using a school as a reference which is next to him.
Mangimbuza ke ngekheli la ahlala khona washo ukuthi ikheli alikho kodwa ke basebenzisa kunesikole esilapha eduze abasebenzisayo.
Thank you. And he went on to give his age, which was then 34 years.
Yes.
Thank you.
Iminyaka yakhe ke ngaleso sikhathi kwaku 34.
Now, at what point of the interview did you fill in the information that is just above the information that you have just read to the court?
This information that I have filled in, I filled it in whilst I was sitting with him.
Lena ke lena imininingwane eqeda manje uyifunda ke yenza ngayibhala ke ngalesikhathi engangihlezi naye.
At what point?
Before I started the interview with him.
Ngaphambilini kokuthi ngiqale ke ngayo interview.
Thank you. Now you went on and read all the information to him that is contained in the pro forma. Up until such time, there was a point where you then decided, let's go. After, according to you, he said to you, I want to go and show you certain points, not so?
Yes.
Utheke emuva kuba sekuqedileke ila khona sesifikela kwisigaba la ethi manje ke so hamba ke ayongikhombisa indawo nama points athize.
Is it true that in your evidence in chief, I think there was something that distracted me, but I want to confirm it with you. Is it true that at some point you made mention of the fact that there were some photos as you interviewed him which were taken in the office?
Yes.
Ngishilo ke noma ngikhulumile ke ngeyithombe enkathi ke ngi-interviewer uzathwetshula ke zakhe e-office.
And who took those photos?
The photos were taken by Sergeant Mapakela from Criminal Records Center.
Iy'thombe ke zathwetshulwa uSergeant Baphakela LCRC.
Thank you. Just a second. I'm not so sure whether the photo album has already been handed to court, my lord. I'm saying this under correction. Sometimes my memory,
It has been handed.
it has been handed.
Yeah.
Thank you, my lord. Now, do you have the photo album in front of you there?
Yes.
Thank you. How many photos does it have? The one which is in front of you?
It has photo 1 until photo 31.
Qala ke ku-1 kuphele ke ku-31 iy'thombe lezo enginazo.
Yeah, it accords with what I have as well. But nonetheless, my question is as follows. In that photo album, may you kindly take this court to a photo that depicts your office as you were interviewing him?
There is none.
Asikho isithombe la ngihlezi khona ke naye phansi ngi-interviewer.
Is it correct that you have just told to this court that photos of you, pictures of you were taken by Sergeant Mapangela as you and the accused number 1 were seated in the office interviewing him?
No, I never said that.
Angikaze ngithi uMaphakela uthathe iy'thombe noma wathwebula iy'thombe zami nomsola sihlezi phansi.
He never said that. You can take it from me.
No, thank you. I won't argue. Thank you. What did you say again?
He said the photos were taken by Mapakela.
Yes.
Yes.
My question was, if I were to repeat it, my question was, and I also made mention of the fact that there is something that distracted me when you were at that point, and I said to you, is it correct that in your evidence in chief, you said that as you were seated in the office with accused number 1, photos of you were taken whilst you were in the office?
The answer is it is not correct.
That's a good placement of the sword by the witness.
Ngakulona iqiniso lelo ba ukuthi ngithe kwathathwa kwathwetshula iy'thombe zami ngihlezi naye umsola e-office.
Yeah, the reason why I had to ask you, can you please show us those photos then, it's because of the answer that I got from you, because I heard you saying yes. Do you understand?
I never said yes, photos of me and the accused were obtained,
Yes.
were taken. I've never said that.
Angikaze ngisho ukuthi yebo iy'thombe zami nomsola zathathwa.
Were any photos of you whilst Mr. Mapakela?
No photos of me with that were taken by Mr. Mapakela whilst I was sitting with the accused.
Azikho ithombe zami ezathetshulwa uyena kuMaphakela ngathi ngihlezi naye umsolo.
Thank you. Why that did not happen? Why were such photos not taken?
My Lord, interview between the accused and myself is done only with me and the accused sitting in the office. That is the interview. The purpose of a photographer only comes in when I request the photographer to come and take specific pictures. He can't sit in and take pictures while I'm interviewing.
Phakathi kwami nomsolo uma sihlezi laphayana ke sine interview imina naye kuphela. Lona ke othobela ithombe ungena noma uza uma ke ukuthi ngikuneyithombe ethize engifisa ukuthi ke ayithathe noma ke ayithwebule akakwazi ukuthi angahlala phakathi abe khona nkathi ngikhulumisana nomsolo.
Exactly on the same explanation. Why did you not call in the photographer who were interviewing the accused in the office, particularly at the point at which you were showing him your appointment certificates? Why did you not do that?
That would have meant, my Lord, stopping the interview, getting someone in to take a picture and send him out again, continue with the interview, call him again when the time to check on injuries is. It would have been an up and down of that. And then it means he's participating in the interview.
Ukuthi ke manje ngingambizi ukuthi azothatha ithombe zami naye ngim-interviewer bekuzosho ukuthi noma ke ngimbonisa certificate sami ke so ithombe baphume uma kufanele futhi ezothobela ithombe ukubheka ukulimala aphinda angene futhi aphinda aphume okusekusho ukuthi manje useyingxenye ke yayo interview.
Mr. Adv, I don't want to labor this point. I may simply sum it up by saying the manner in which, or the process that you employed as and when you were interviewing this not this witness, but Mr. Sibiya in that office, it's indicative of the in conducting pointing out.
Yeah, can you lay the basis, sir?
The reason why I'm saying this, very simple and not far-fetched. You are saying the reason why you did not invite the photographer to come and take photos of you while seated there with the accused person is because that would have amounted to interference. Now I'm saying to you, you simply have to call him in for just a minute. He takes a photo or two, and then he goes out, and then you proceed with the interview. That would not have been an interference, which is the reason why I say, for the fact that you did not do that, is just indicative of the level of experience that you had in the process of conducting pointing outs.
My Lord, that is not fair. Stopping an interview for a picture has never happened. Maybe you have experienced it somewhere.
Yes.
But we've never stopped an interview for someone to come and take a picture of myself and the accused sitting down.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mhlambe ke lento usuke wahlangana nayo ngaphambilini noma khona la usuke wa experience khona ke kodwa kaze kwenzeke lokho ke ukuthi manje stopeke noma simeke ngenhlolo khona noma interview ukuthi umuntu angene azothobela ithombe akaze kwenzeke lokho.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, Mr. Mnisi.
As it is a court.
Is it a statutory requirement that the Lieutenant Colonel is obliged or enjoined to take photographs whom he is going to interview for the pointing out.
It is by convention, my lord.
I talk statutory. Is it a statutory requirement?
I-
Section 218A,
yes, my lord.
does it make provision for that?
I am saying, my lord, it is by
So
convention.
it's not by law, it's by convention. Fine, no problem.
Which is the reason why, my lord, if I may add an addendum to what I've just said, which is the reason why it is not only each and every policeman that gets required to go and take a pointing out a confession from a suspect, but people who occupy certain rank, those that are called commissioned officers. That is only based on the understanding that the level at which they are experienced enough to understand what the imports of taking down a confession and conducting it of a pointing out are, my lord. But I say it is by convention,
Yes, I've heard you. It's not
Thank
by
you,
law.
madam.
I've heard you.
as it please the court, my lord.
Yes,
There's
Mr.
a court case. Can counsel maybe quote or bring proof of that convention that is referring to? I suppose convention means something that is universally practiced.
No. Me, I'm administering law in this court.
Yes.
I want to know whether it's a statutory requirement or
Yes.
not. Convention is not obligatory
Yes.
by its very nature. But the law is obligatory.
Yes.
If it is enacted that this officer, before he takes or during the course of taking a confession or a pointing out, he's obliged to take a photograph seated
Yes.
with the gentleman from whom you are taking this pointing out. Fine.
Indeed, my lord, but what we mean is counsel referring to standing orders of the police, for instance? If so, then he needs to direct that to the witness. We're trying to establish what is the basis for
No, but
saying
Mr.
that there
Mnisi
is
has-
a convention.
Has already given his answer.
As a
As it pleases the court, my
Yes,
lord.
Mr. Mnisi.
I think my colleague is raising a point that will be worthwhile taking on address.
Standing orders.
No, not standing orders.
Because
The
I've
point
read,
that
I've
is
read,
just
let me tell you,
raised.
I've read the standing orders in and out.
Yes, ma'am.
Never heard of a standing order which says he's obliged to take photographs when he's interviewing a prospective interviewee for a pointing out or a confession.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, madam. May I then proceed?
Yes, proceed.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
You further indicated that you understand and you agreed that a pointing out amounts to a confession by conduct and an admission by conduct, not so?
That's true, Your Lord.
Esengishilo-ke ukuthi ukwenza-ke noma ukuvuma-ke noma ukwenza i-confession noma ukuvuma-ke noma-ke ukwenza i-pointing out ukuvuma-ke lokho.
Thank you. Now you know, and I think now this is going to be a statutory requirement, that when you take a confession, person must be in his sane and sober senses, must be done freely and voluntarily and without any hint of undue influence, not so?
That's true, my Lord.
Lokho-ke ngiyakwazi ukuthi uma umuntu-ke ezokhuluma-ke noma ezovuma-ke kufanele akwenze lokho-ke esebondweni ngokuphelele futhi kungekho nje nokuthi-ke lokho ukwenze ngokuthi-ke agqugquzeke.
Thank you. Now, that is incumbent on the person or on the officer who's taking down the confession or pointing out in this instance to make sure that the person that is before him is not under those factors. The person is not unduly influenced. The person is in sane and sober senses. And what again did I say? person is not unduly influenced, all those statutory requirements. I knew them when I was still at school, but now they are yeah. But the essence of my question is that is incumbent on the person that is about to take on that process to make sure that those requirements on the person that is before him are there, not so.
That's true, my lord.
Kuyiqiniswa-ke nokuthi-ke lokho kufanele kuqinisekiswe-ke yilo ohlezi nalo azom-interviewa ukuthi konke-ke zonke-ke lezi besiqethe sisho manje ukuthi ngempela akekho ngaphansi kwazo.
Thank you. And that the person needed to feel free in front of you, not so.
That's true, my lord.
Nokuthi lo muntu-ke kufuneka
Now, as an officer who says, I'm experienced, what is it that you did to make sure, or what is it that you did to satisfy yourself that all these traits that I've just mentioned that was not unduly influenced, he was free, he was just there on his own. What is it that you did to ascertain those features?
My lord,
Yes.
the proforma says, in his sound and sober senses appear before me, Lieutenant Colonel Hate.
opheleleke ngekho okuphazamisayo ephambi kwami-ke Lieutenant Colonel Hadebe.
If he was not in his sound and sober senses, the interview would not have continued.
Uma kuwukuthi-ke wayengekho kwisimo esikahle-ke noma-ke esinzile ngokwasemqondweni inhlolo khona-ke yayingeke.
My question is, I'm not asking you to enroll your form here. My question is, what is it that you did yourself?
I
As a
observed.
presiding- I'm not done.
I
my
observed.
question. What is it that you did as a presiding officer, for lack of a better word, to ascertain or to make sure that the person that was before you was free from all these other things which would have rendered the taking of this pointing out or the process of the pointing out irregular?
On my observation, my lord, I observed that he was sound, he was sober.
Ekumbhekeni kwami kumbukeni kwami ngila engabona khona-ke ukuthi-ke usemqondweni ngokuphelele.
Thank you.
And in continuation thereof,
Yes.
we went through the proforma and he was informed of all his rights,
Yes.
even including the fact that he is not forced to give a statement.
Kwengeza-ke kulokho noma ukuqhubeka-ke kulokho sase sisebenzisa yona-ke iform echazela onke-ke amalungelo akhe kwanokuthi-ke akaphoqelekile ukuthi-ke aqhubeke noma enze statement.
Thank you. Now, as a peace officer, did you at any point bring to his attention the fact that you are not involved in the investigation of this case? You are not involved with any member who could be involved in the investigation of this case? Although you are a policeman, you don't know nothing about this case. Did you ever bring that to his attention?
My lord,
Yes.
I went through the proforma and I went through the proforma. And I would not have been called to participate if I was involved in the investigation.
Ngisebenzileke noma ngisebenzisileke iform lena futhi-ke ngaqhubeka ngayisebenzisa-ke futhi uma kuwukuthi ngangiyingxenye yethimba eliphenyayo noma ingxenye yophenyo ngabe angibizwanga-ke ukuthi ngize ngizolekelela noma ngizosiza.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. That I understand. Can you please address my question? Can you please answer my question?
That I did not form part of the investigation. No.
Would that not be interpreted? I think I'm waiting for it to be interpreted.
No, you say that you did not form part.
Of the investigation.
Can you repeat the question? Because you just said no. Then
Yes, he's answering the question.
this.
Because
I just missed the
counsel
question.
asked
Yeah, that's why.
if did he tell the accused or the future deponent that he is not involved in the investigation.
Yes.
So the answer is no.
Ummeli yena abuza kuKennel ukuthi umsola umtshelile yini kodwa ongasiyona ingxenye yophenyo uthi ke yena ke cha.
Thank you. Did you at any point ascertain from the future deponent, thank you very much, my lord, ascertain from the future deponent whether prior to him being brought before you, has he been taken to a district surgeon just to go and evaluate him about his state of health and everything?
No.
Thank you.
Ukuthi ke wayesiwe kudokotela ngaphambi kokuthi aze kumina lokho angikuzanga.
Said when I stood up that I won't belong, and indeed I will not belong. But let me put it to you that the fact that you said no to these very last two questions are indicative of the fact that you did not ascertain whether the future deponent, as he was there before you, was before you freely and voluntarily without any undue influence. And ultimately that tainted the credibility and the sanctity of the process that you were just about to embark upon.
I don't believe so, my lord.
Thank you.
I worked according to the protocol.
Ukuthi ke ngiphendule ukuthi cha kule mibuzo emibili ke yokugcina akusho ke ukuthi lokho ke manje kwase kuba ke nomthelela ke noma ukuthi ke indlela ke engenza ngayo noma engasebenza ngayo mina ke ngasebenza
The protocol is.
ngasebenza ngokwendlela ke iplofoma engola ngayo.
Very much for bringing it to our attention that you indeed made a statement explaining how the pointing out went on as early as 18 July 2020, and today is the 23rd of October 2023. Just finished with the statement. But thank you very much. I've got no further questions to you. I've got no further questions to the witness, madam.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Kumalo.
This is the court, my lord. I do have questions.
Yes.